Back to botulism, kind of got yelled at for that last comment. Sorry. Hey guys, today on It's Alive, we're gonna be doing something a little different. I got my top 10 tips of fermentation. If you're looking to get started or looking to up your gear game for fermentation, this is for you. Tip number 1. Oh, we ready? Tip number 1, Vinny, and this is a nice 1-gallon jar. Just look up fermentation jars. You can get them with just sealing lids or with lids that have these little air locks. And what that does is lets the gas out, and nothing can get back in. So that gas doesn't make the jar explode. You don't need that, but otherwise you have to burp it. And then if you're gonna be doing anything liquid, you wanna get like a beer making or fermentation grade glass. I've had a couple, mostly just one bad accident where I was using glass that was not fermentation grade. It just couldn't take the pressure, and I mean, the thing turned into dust. This one I can't stress enough. You know, when you go to like a cafe and they come up with one of these and they pour you water, those usually are just decorative, not fermentation grade. Tip number 2, Vinny, accessories. A couple companies make some really cool products. This one's called Crowdsource, and this just goes right onto your mason jar here. You know, as it starts to release the gas, it just bloop, bloop, does a little self-burping thing. Another one, cool company called Mason Tops. This is just another little airlock. And then it comes with this great little tamper. You know, when you're making sauerkraut or kimchi, everything needs to be submerged a little underneath that liquid. So this helps, you know, instead of shoving, you can't get your hand down there, you know. I can't say it. Hey, how do you say that word, Andy?
Scali.
Ascali. Italian. Ascali. I feel like this day and age, a lot of people have digital cooking scales. If you don't, get one. It's really great for fermenting, especially when you start dealing with different salt percentages and when you're making brines. Last cool little gizmo that I really like, I believe I'm pronouncing it correct, a refractometer. It reads the amount of sugar that's in the water. So you can gauge how much carbonation will take place. You can geek out as much as you want, but you know, having that, oh, Finn, hey, get what you paid for. Nah, it's fine. Refractometer, great tool. Terrible case. Tip number 3. Tip number 3. Use good produce. You know, if you go get like a real nice head of cabbage at a farmer's market compared to something that's been sitting in some box in a supermarket for God only knows how long, the amount that product will ferment is very noticeable. Also, when you're buying produce, you know, get organic as much as possible. Having things sprayed with pesticides and stuff like that, that's not going to translate well into when you're trying to grow life in a jar. Pesticides, no good. You want to get fresh. Nice. Tip number 4, sanitation, cleanliness. We talked about all these jars and gadgets and doodads. Anything that's going to be in contact with what you're fermenting or using, you want to have clean. A great food grade sanitizer is called Star Sani. It's kind of like the industry standard when it comes to beer making, wine making, fermentation. Kills everything, not harmful. I mean, you don't want to go drinking it or nothing, but diluted, it's a good thing. Always wash your hands, always wash your vessels, and always wash your produce. And what's the old saying? Cleanliness is next to godliness or something. Same goes with fermentation. Oh, what's that? What's next, Vinny? Tip number 5. It's always good to write things down. Keep track of your adjustments, of your recipes. That way you can recreate them. You know, if you're like me, you tend to forget things after a while. Get yourself some masking tape, label things. The more information, the better. Data. Keep track of your information. What are we on tip number 6? We're going to head over, take a little field trip to Fermentation Station over here. You know, when you're fermenting things, you kind of want to be in like a cool, dark spot. You don't want to be out in the sun. You don't want to put it on, you know, on your windowsill. We're running at a pretty cool 69 degrees right now. The ideal temperature I've found is around like anywhere from like 70, 75, 80, 65 to 80. It really depends on what you're doing. When it's a cooler temperature, it slows down most fermentations. And when it gets hot, it speeds it up. I mean, if it gets too hot, it'll start to have negative effects and can kill fermentation in certain bacteria and yeasts. But the sweet spot for me, I've found to be around 75, 80 degrees, 70 degrees. Right in that window. Not too cold, not too hot. Just nice. Tip number 7, Vincenzo. We're going to talk about salt. You go, to Aunt Susie's house and she's got that like BS iodized salt. You don't want to go using that when you're starting to make, fermenting things. You want to get some real nice kosher salt. Tried and true, been around forever, is the Diamond Crystal kosher salt. It's got a great consistency, super clean taste. And then another one, my buddy Ben Jacobson Salt Company. Mostly they're known for their big flaky sea salt. Hold on, will this come out before or after? This comes out before? Okay. Are they ever coming out? Beautiful day, we're gonna make some salt, Vince. I look like the Gordon Fisherman. But he also comes out with a great kosher sea salt. Ever since we started getting it from him, I've been using that in all my fermentations. Flavor just really comes through. And you gotta do quality. It's all about quality when you're doing projects like this. Tip number 8 here, we're gonna bring up something that people have asked about a lot. I'm not very concerned with it, but botulism. It's a real thing, apparently. It really strives in an anaerobic environment where there's zero oxygen. I mean, who was the last person that got botulism? I think it was... How was that, good? That was gold, right? Well, I just got yelled at for that. So if you do want to check your pH levels, check it out on Google. But I think it's like, I really should get that number, huh? Hold on, Ben. It won't live in an atmosphere 4.7 or lower. So if you want to shoot for, keep it around 4, you should be more than fine. They make a nice little digital thing where you can put whatever your liquid is, just... Also, real cheap, you can just get them online, is the little pH dipsticks. That wraps back in the cleanliness. I mean, botulism, do a little research, but that stuff's everywhere. It's just more about the toxin that is released when it's in an anaerobic environment. I think the easiest way to get it is putting garlic and olive oil, so just don't do that. Ferment foods, you'll be fine. Next, tip number 9, Vinny. And that's books. Get out there, order some books, go to a bookstore for God's sakes. I've got 2 of my favorites here by the good old Sandor Katz. Fermentation legend. Anything you could possibly want to know, you can get from these guys. Fermenting is not a new thing. It's been around for thousands of years. There's a ton of information out there. So information, the more you know, the better. And then, just go and meet some people, make some friends in the fermentation world. Same way, the internet kind of changed the game. A lot of forums and websites and chat groups. I don't know if people do that anymore, but go to the farmer's market, go to a fermenting workshop, make some friends. There's always some weird guy making pickles in his basement in a bathtub or some shit. Go make friends with him. And, and that's how you learn stuff. Last but not least, tip number 10. Let's go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and we can ferment and learn together. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes, check them out where we're actually fermenting. We're seeing how things are made. If you have any questions, put them in the old comment section. Tell me what you make, what you want to see me make. And that's part of the community. Get involved. Have fun. Bon Appetit. What do you think, Vinny? 3.5? Yeah. You know what's not in there, Vinny? Botulism.